Welcome back to Better Together Eats. I'm Kelly Brotherton, and I hope you are hungry for chicken today because we are making our family's very favorite way to eat chicken. Now, I'm telling you, we are quite experienced in this area. We have purchased the birds, we have raised the birds, we have fed the birds lovingly, we have dispatched the birds, we have processed all the parts that are icky about processing a bird, and we still love chicken so much that we would eat it as simple as I'm about to make it here. You do not need anything fancy if you have an oven. If you have some root veggie, honestly, I don't care which one, and you have a chicken, you can make this and it will wow the people you serve it to. So let's get started. Interestingly enough, this dish actually starts with root vegetables, and that's where we begin prepping in the first place. So I'll put in potatoes, carrots. If you are a homesteadish kind of person, you might have these things growing in your garden and you just go snatch them up for dinner tonight. I did not. Mine came from the grocery store, even though I have a really big garden. When I have children around me, this is their favorite gig. Everybody who wants to get on the peeler, probably because it's really therapeutic. Like, if you've ever found therapy from using a veggie peeler on your carrot, then we could be friends in real life. But there's something about it where you're like, okay, I know this is going to be a really good dish. Like, if you have butter, onion, and garlic in your pan, somebody's going to walk into your kitchen and say, oh, what is that? I feel like a lot of roast dishes will always begin with a really delicious, I guess some people don't peel it. I just always peel my carrots. So if you don't, let me know why, or let me know what you like about it in the comments. But I will peel the carrots, and I don't peel the potatoes for this dish. Everybody has a version of roast that they like, but this one is going to cook evenly, and every part of the bird is going to be tender. That probably could be based on the heat that we cook it at. But here's what you're going to want for this dish. So you're going to find your vegetables, and all of this cooks in one pan. Then if you want to add some aromatic herbs, rosemary would be great in this. Thyme would be fantastic. I'm going to season the chicken super duper basic with just salt and pepper, and then I use bacon fat for the grease. In fact, I'm out of bacon fat, if you can believe it. And instead, I have a jar of lard from the last time I rendered some. So we're just going to use the lard today, but one of my favorites is bacon fat because you get that bacon flavor in it. And it's, I think, something that helps make the skin on the chicken taste so, so crispy. Chicken is one of my all-time favorite dishes to cook, and here is why. I think that chicken is really accessible, especially in American culture. It's one of those things that pretty much any grocery store you go into, you're gonna find chicken. You're gonna find either chicken breasts, chicken wings, thighs, drumettes, whatever it is. But if you can get your hands on a whole chicken, they are the best possible option that you can buy to not only make your chicken dish, but probably have leftovers. In my house, those are rare to come by, but you're also going to have the bones at the end that you can make a chicken broth with. And that is something that I feel like people are unsung about purchasing chicken or making chicken dishes, is you're missing when we're just making a chicken breast dish and we go to the store and we get the chicken breasts. You're missing like this really awesome addition to your larder, to your kitchen cabinet, to have broth on hand that is directly from your house. You know everything that was in it. You can use it fresh. You can put it in the fridge. It'll last for 2 weeks. Just more people, guys. If more people would be making broth from their home chicken dish, whether you grew it yourself or you bought it from the store, we would just be a happier nation. Can we just all champion for chicken broth for a second? Let's get back to this chicken dish. Chop it up, chopping broccoli. Rule of thumb when you are cooking anything roast is the larger the veggies, the longer they cook or take to cook. The smaller the veggies, obviously, the shorter time they take to cook. However, if you're going to be cooking a root veggie, you can guess that a vegetable about this size, right? So this is about, I don't know, 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. Somebody will come at me and be like, Kelly, you don't know math. I'll be okay with that. I can handle that kind of brutality. But if you are cooking this roast, even if it was beef or pork or whatever, and you have veg in the bottom, then about 1 inch is gonna take around 40 minutes to get tender. If you're cooking it in water, it may get tender sooner, but it will also get mushy faster. So I cook most of my roast just this big, about 1/2 inch, and in 45 minutes, it's usually fork tender, but not chewy or sloppy. It's not gonna fall apart. If you're doing roasts in the Instant Pot or even just broth, then those are gonna get softer a lot sooner. So this recipe in all takes about an hour, maybe less, depending on the size of your bird, to cook. So keep that in mind when you're prepping. How much time do you have, and do you have time enough to cook your chicken this way? Onto the pan the carrots go. I'm gonna chop up potatoes in just a second. They'll go here too. And then I set it aside while I'm prepping all the veg. I'll put avocado oil on this, and then we'll prep the bird to go on top. When we're doing these videos, I like to probably keep myself company a little bit, but also you, because it feels like you're in my kitchen with me. Whenever you're sharing in the comments or you're suggesting like, oh, I do my roast this way, I like to chat with you here because it feels more like I think it would have in the village. Like, hey, we're sharing this dinner tonight and we're learning from each other and prepping together. And I think that's just a special kind of thing that is lost. I actually don't even know how to get it back in the society, except this is my little way of doing that. So as I cut these veggies, I imagine you having your version of the board right over there, and we're just talking through our day and thoughts and concerns and cares that we have on our hearts, and in turn, we get to be better friends. So some of you I will never ever get to meet, but we've become friends in this little space just by making food together, and I think that's a pretty special thing. So these are going to be about the same. The potatoes will cook a little bit faster than the carrots. They're just not hard. And because we're going to add the oil, this will keep the potatoes from burning. I wish someone had told me that sooner. I think I've wasted so many potato dishes by not oiling those veggies before they went in. And so instead, I got like raw in the center. Take care of you. Get a drink break. Let's see if we have onions in here. Hot diggity dog. If you're an oniony kind of person, put as many of these as you like. This is a big onion and this will satisfy the dish just fine. But sometimes recipes are like, hey, add an onion. And you're holding them and there's one that's like half the size of your palm and one that's half the size of your head. Half the size of your head, guys. This is a good size for this recipe. Don't keep the skins on in this. Whereas in my broth recipe, I'll be like, hey, skins never hurt nobody, and they give your broth this really great color. They will not taste good in this. They will burn. They're like paper. So cut it off. If you have an onion with this icky moldy stuff, just cut it off. Peel down to the next layer. Don't cut yourself. That's what I'm telling someone every time they cook. I'm like, just don't cut yourself. Good advice, right? Like in general, just in living, don't cut yourself. Here's the beautiful thing about this dish. This onion does not have time to make you weep. So you're just gonna cut it and then get chunks. Chunk it up. Chunk up your onions. That's enough right there. So it's not thin slices. It is not a science, guys. We are getting the aromatics from this onion and then the caramelization. Like, the thing that's great about the onion in this dish is when it starts to cook down with the oil on it, it's gonna reduce a lot of the liquid, but then it's gonna have this great sweetness from the caramelization. And you eat a bite of that with a bite of carrot or just a bite of potato, it's gonna blow your mind. Like, you're gonna love this so much. I hope you love this. I hope you love this as much as we love this. Where did that oil go? I think we gotta get big again. And now, we're gonna oil those bad boys up. Bo just asked me if I'm having fun with this camera. I would say absolutely. Just little nuggets. Things I wish that I knew before I'd started cooking that would have saved me so many fails. So the first is when you're roasting vegetables, always, always, always put oil on them. And if you are roasting root veggies, carrots, turnips, radishes, potatoes, tomatoes, whatever your mama says. No, tomatoes are not a root vegetable. Don't come at me, internet. But it rhymed with potatoes. So here's what I wish that I knew how much seasoning to put on it. And it's a whole lot more than you think. So let's first give them a little bath. There we go. Look at that setup, guys. Like, we're going pro here. This is avocado oil. Why do I use avocado instead of an olive oil? It's because it has a higher smoke point. So I can cook this in the oven at 425 and I'm not worrying about oxidized oils. You could use coconut oil. When we were eating pretty paleo diet, we would use coconut oil in absolutely everything. Coconut oil on potatoes in my hash is my favorite jam. But when I'm cooking it with a chicken, I really like the lightness and kind of like flavorlessness almost of an avocado oil. So this might be a little bit much, but I think everything will be nice and oiled up and happy. So this is about the carrot to potato ratio. We like a lot of carrots in this house, so this will keep people very, very happy. And then we're gonna season it. I'm going to use salt, pepper, and garlic on this part. And then on the chicken, I'm just going to use salt and pepper. One more note on oils. I really love tallow. I love bacon fat or rendered pork. Duck fat would be fantastic on this. Any kind of rendered animal fat would be really, really good on these root vegetables. It's going to take on this really rich flavor, and you're going to yield a more satisfying result in the food that you eat. If you have a seed oil, that is just fine. It's going to cook it. It's going to be fine. But you're going to get a more nutritious cook. You're going to get a less oxidized cook and a better flavor when you use a higher smoke point oil. Ironically, we are out of pork fat. Well, I guess I have some in the fridge. No, I guess I have some in the freezer. That said, I don't have any that's ready except a little bit to put on my chicken. Otherwise, this would be another great use for your fat. Coat your veggies in it and then season them and get them in the oven. In my kitchen, if you've been here for a minute, you know I like a 2-1-1 ratio. So that means if ever I'm using salt, pepper, and garlic, I'm going to use 2 parts salt, 1 part pepper, and 1 part garlic. And that is just what our family likes. I hope that when you watch a very normal person like me cook in her very normal kitchen, that you know we're not just going off recipe here. We're going off of experience and like getting to know the kitchen, getting to know how things work in the kitchen, what flavors work together. And if it's a flavor that you don't like, it's not necessarily that there's something wrong with you. That recipe just might not be for you. So I think this recipe, I think I've made this enough to say 8 out of 10 people, they're down for this recipe. They would have it any day of the week. And then some people are like, I really don't love salt, pepper, and garlic together. That's okay too. Let's talk prep. If you're getting chicken from the grocery store, you're gonna see loads and loads of labels. There'll be organic, there'll be vegetarian, which is ridiculous. There will be air chilled, there will be pasture raised. I'm going to recommend, if at all you are able, get out of the grocery store for your chicken and go find a farmer. There are in most major cities farmers markets every single week with people who have raised and love their animals ethically. They've processed them ethically, and then they're bringing them straight to you. And those are the kinds of chickens that you want. Less stressed meat tastes better. If you're at the grocery store, get whatever fits your budget, because quite frankly, at this point, the labels are all kind of extra and they really don't tell you what they're actually doing before that bird ever gets to the store. So my favorite is go to the farmer's market. Most people are just not going to be like us and raise their own meat birds. But if you do want to know how to raise your own meat birds, you can come to our workshop on November 9th and 10th this year, and we will get you hooked up with how to raise and process your birds all the way through to your freezer. This one came from the grocery store. Da-da-da-da-da. This is the most controversial thing I have ever shared with my friends. They didn't get mad at me, but they had questions. So when we lived in the city, I had a group of friends, city friends, like we all do. And in that group, we were sharing recipes, and my favorite recipe is this one. My favorite go-to for someone who's just had a baby, for someone who is grieving, for a Tuesday night is this chicken roast. And when I told them, you buy a whole chicken and then you cut out the back, jaws on floor, eyes as big as dinner plates. What do you mean you buy a whole chicken, Kelly? So I'm sitting in this room full of women and I was like, oh, I remember. A few years ago, I too had never bought a chicken before as a whole bird. I had bought parts. I had bought chicken breasts. I had bought chicken thighs. I had purchased drumettes. I'd made this on the barbecue. I had created I'd created chicken tacos out of this. I've used chicken in tons of ways, but the game changer for me was the whole bird. I will gladly talk in a room with a stranger for hours on end about the corruption in the food system. I suspect that if you're here, you have a little whiff, if not a whole big appreciation for food that is cooked at home, that is raised on a farm, that is raised on a homestead, maybe even by your own hands. But the reality is we have created an insane sanitized view of food. If food came out of the ground and is still dirty, we might not want to eat it. If food is processed right in front of us, it might be offensive. If food does not look identical in size and shape and color at the grocery store, we as consumers have proven to the grocery store people themselves that we're not interested in it. And so I want to invite you into real food, into food that we are quite aware that it came from the ground. We are not offended by a bug in our greens, because if a bug wants to eat our greens, that means that it wasn't killed off by pesticides. So I want to invite you into the wholeness of the bird today. This is working out pretty cool. I've told you we're going to cut out the back. And basically, when you look at your bird, we're going to have wings here. We got little leggies here. These are the drumettes right here. And then thighs here. So the spine runs right down the back. And if you didn't know it, and you get a neck in your chicken, at the other end is where the head was. So not to burst your bubble, but I want you to appreciate that this animal actually had a life, and that it's such a grateful thing for us to be able to eat an animal to help sustain our lives. So this is just a pair of really strong scissors. We actually use these when we're butchering, but if you have strong kitchen scissors, I have been known to do this quite easily. So I think the first time I did this, the idea of cracking through a bone was quite terrifying. And the more I do it, I'm like, ooh, make sure I don't take off too much skin, because I'm gonna want that part, right? So get familiar with your chicken. It's gonna get easier as you go through. You're kind of like breaking through a big bone when you go from the tail end. And then as you get closer to the top, it's just ribs, and it's a lot easier to get through the neck at the top. So we do that identically on both sides. Keep close to it. The spine might be a lot smaller than you think, and I would actually say this bird was fairly small. So here, all that's left is skin. My scissors don't really want to do it, so I'm just gonna come in with a sharp knife and come on through. There we go. Et voila, you are a butcher. So this is the spine. You can obviously get all sciencey about it, but you're not going to use this for this recipe. However, you are going to put it onto the baking dish, because you're going to save that for broth and stock later. The inside of your bird should be all cleaned out, but if there's anything extra you should want to get rid of, go ahead and grab it now. This is pretty decent, but maybe now we'll leave the fat to render. All right, flip your bird over and pat it down. The drier you get the skin, the better it will crisp when you put on those seasonings and oil. This chicken has obviously suffered in packaging. That happens a lot of times when you start processing your own animals. You notice these things. So the wing just has a little busted wing. And this is your beautiful bird, people. This is exactly how I'm gonna lay it out onto the veg. And this will get the most even cook. We're also gonna kind of break down the wishbone. You know that thing you get on the turkey? They have one on chickens too. Okay, so we're gonna lay it out like that, and this is gonna be a pretty even cook. We're gonna end up with really crispy wings on the end here. And when I get this in the oven, you're gonna notice a difference here in what the leg bone looks like. And then after we've cooked it for 45 minutes, you're gonna start to see it shrink back. If you're not seeing it shrink back, and this skin is still very tightly around the leg bone, then you're going to put it in for a little bit longer. But at the heat and the time that we're taking, we're gonna see this start to shrink up. And when you see more bone than when we began, you know that it's ready. Sooner than that, it's gonna be a little bit chewy, and that's not what we're going for. Final dressing, friends. This is the very last step until you put it in the oven, and then in an hour, dinner is done. Your family's gonna love you. You're gonna come back for the next recipe. Like, this is just what's gonna happen. So get your bird on top of your veg. And then whatever, I'm pulling it out now. Whatever you wanna use, this is lard. You can get this from the butcher, animal fat, whatever you're looking for. Just get your fat on your bird. So we give it a good rub down just like I did on the veg, and it's just a massage. Get it all up in there. You cannot do too much oil on this. I really don't think so. It's just gonna run off the bird, and then whatever seasoning, whatever flavor comes off, whatever juices from the bird come off, they go onto your veg. It's like the smartest thing. It's kind of like sheet pan dinner if you think about it. I did a video on sheet pan dinner the other day, and so if you want to see that, you go ahead and check it out. But it was so basic, I almost didn't share it. This one, a little bit extra step, but a lot of bit extra love. So get it rubbed in there and then hit it with your seasoning. My mom likes salt and pepper and garlic on the chicken, but I like that on the veggies, and the combination is my favorite, just to have salt, pepper on the bird itself. That's super white of me to say, but I'm okay with it. I've come to the grips, guys. It is who I am. Okay. Another good kind of like spin on this would be to put lemon under the skin or lemon on top, but I'm telling you, this is gonna be juicy. You don't even need another thing. I know I said, like, can I invite everyone to just use the whole bird? But can I also make one more request of you? Like, can I make just this last request to steal our independence from the grocery store? Grow your own herbs. This is one of the first years that in the full 12 months, I've been able to go to the garden and grab what I need. I am telling you, the amount of money that I have given HEB for rosemary is an astonishing and embarrassing number. I should never, living on even 7 acres, y'all, never be paying for thyme and rosemary. And I have like the scraggliest, saddest little thyme, but it's gonna give me a good time, and it's gonna taste fantastic with this. All this is aromatics. It's the thing that when they're cooking, and even you might wanna oil these. I'm not gonna, cause I'm lazy, but lazy, I am not lazy. I'm cooking a fantastic dinner from scratch. I should stop saying that. But I'm not gonna oil these because it's not so much of a difference in the 400-degree oven. But if you like that and you're worried about your herbs burning, go ahead and oil them. Some people will put this like real fancy, like tied up. I can say I'm not super fancy. So while I'm not lazy, I am not super fancy. And we're gonna go ahead, put this in the oven at 425. We'll check back on it to see that pulling away from the bone like I described. If you've seen the chicken wing video, that's where I'll show you a really clear picture, and you can see it in a couple different ways of what it looks like for the chicken to pull away from the bone. But these are the things I wish people had told me when I was very first cooking, and I made so many things either undone or quit just before the finish line. If I had known those signs, I would have done things differently. So here's what it looks like before it goes in the oven. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. We've got fork tender, but not mushy. Potatoes are absolutely perfect. Okay, I think we can hear it sing a little. Okay, so here's where that skin pulled back from the bone. It is very much dinner time at my house. The natives are getting restless, and this chicken is going to take us not only through today, but into probably lunch tomorrow, and then hopefully we get a really fantastic jiggly broth out of this and another carcass that I've saved. If you love this recipe, let me know down below in the comments, and if you have a chicken recipe that is just chef's kiss and your whole family loves it, I know everyone would love to hear it below, because that is how we make this better together, is just enjoying food the way we cook it with other people. So thanks for being here. We'll catch you on the next one.